You're listening to Advancing Our Church. Today, I interview Margaret Kaplow, the Director of Marketing and Communications, Public Relations, and Public Relations Manager for the National Catholic Education Association, NCEA. Today, we'll learn more about the important role that Margaret plays for the NCEA and how NCEA supports Catholic schools through marketing programs and numerous publications, and so much more. Margaret has an interesting background, having been Catholic school educated from grade school through college, and she previously worked for the Washington Post in the editorial department and then as an editor in public relations and communications. Today, you'll hear how Margaret helped establish an educational services department to reach out to local schools at the Washington Post. And through this program, she worked with teachers to create a top-notch curriculum that incorporated newspaper content to teach all subjects. Margaret is a native to Washington, D.C., where she graduated from Holy Trinity High School in Georgetown, and she received a bachelor's degree in English and Geography from Aquinas College in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'll leave Margaret's full bio and more information about her in our show notes. But now, without further ado, here's our conversation. Well, Margaret, welcome to the podcast. So glad to have you here on Advancing Our Church.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Margaret, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're with the Washington Post for a very long time. I find that interesting because so many different people come from different walks and different backgrounds and experiences, and sometimes they're able to bring those gifts to Catholic education or to the mission of Catholic education. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, sure. So I began at the Washington Post the late 80s, and I began there working for the editorial page editor, who was Meg Greenfield at the time. Then I moved on to become editor of the in-house newsletter, which was always a little rattling because I was editing the newsletter for some of the best writers in the country, if not the world.
That's cool. Neat.
And so it was a little daunting, and believe me, they were the first ones to tell me when I used the wrong verb or something didn't agree, or I could have said that better. And I was like, okay. Eventually, though, I hit a stride, so that was good.
Yeah. As a young editor, that must have been a little intimidating to walk with some giants like that in the industry.
Absolutely. I mean, you had people like George Will and Ben Bradley, and
yeah.
Although I must admit, Ben Bradley usually just sent me kudos, which was very nice.
Very nice. Yeah. Excellent.
So at that point, I had moved to public relations and communications, and eventually that department kind of morphed into the marketing department. And when we got into marketing, they decided that one of the principles of the Washington Post was to be a good member of the community. And so they decided they really needed something that brought schools closer to newspapers, or, just being able to have a newspaper available to them on a regular basis. And then we decided, well, we can't just drop newspapers at schools. What a teacher's going to do with them. So I actually developed and created their program, and under the educational services umbrella is what it kind of morphed into. And we started using the Washington Post with schools, and we had teachers helping us write curriculum and tell us what they needed to do. And so we started a lot of professional development with teachers, working with them to say, this is what you can do with a newspaper quickly, easily. Either every student has a paper or every 2 students to 1 paper. And it really took off, which we didn't know if it would or it wouldn't. But, by the end, all 17 counties in the post circulation area had schools. We had a few thousand schools that were getting papers every day. and using our programs. So that was really one of the highlights of my life. Was like, gosh, we just went from nothing to having this program where teachers were really using newspapers and introducing students to newspapers. And then when the digital version came about, it was kind of clunky in the beginning, but as it started to progress, so then it became, how do we help teachers use this online with their students? And it just kind of morphed from there. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So that's so that educational experience, is that part of what drew you to the mission of Catholic education, or how did you get involved with NCEA after so many years at the Washington Post?
Yeah, it really did. Unfortunately, when Jeff Bezos came along, they did cut a bunch of departments, and one of them was this program. So I was looking and saw the ad for NCEA looking for a public relations person, and I thought, wow. So I really started investigating that. And, I think what really pulled me into it is that in Catholic education, everyone is aware of imparting that there is a living presence of Jesus.
Yep.
And I just thought it was amazing that, like, every person involved in educating young people in Catholic education bears the responsibility of the entire church. Because because Catholic schools are part of the Catholic Church's evangelizing mission. From the pastors to the administrators, the principals, the teachers, the support staff, the custodians. Everybody is really involved in helping educate these children and fill their spirit. Like I said, the entire person, mind, body, and spirit of each child is really foremost on everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And it's just incorporated into the total environment of a school and into all the interactions that students have, whether it's academics or sports or community, the service to society, and in general in life. I often have people ask me, well, can a school just have a couple of Catholic religion classes and be called a Catholic school? And I said, no, it absolutely can't be that, because it's infused into everything that they do. And because these young people are valued as becoming the future leaders of the Catholic Church, providing them excellent academics, educational experiences, and a sense of spirituality, as well as faith formation, really is what helps groom them to be good citizens. And
without a doubt.
I have a good friend that always says, they're good citizens here on earth, and we hope we're grooming them to be saints in heaven.
That's right.
Like, wow, that's just such a great way to look at it.
That's all of our goals, right? We should all have that as our goal, to be a saint someday. Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like we all share that ministry with the Catholic school educators. And, in a secular world, Catholic schools provide that faith formation in helping young people become adults who contribute to society, and becoming active, caring members of their communities, and ultimately to live with God for all eternity.
Yeah. Well said. And that happens in so many forms. It happens in our rural communities. It happens in inner city, suburban America. It happens all around the world. And yet there's that same common bond, that thread that runs through all of them, that is our faith, our core, no matter how it's taught or where it's taught. And we're trying, as you say, to get our students to heaven someday, and to form a moral culture and a moral society where we look at the world, I think, through the lens of our faith, whether it's mathematics or science or social studies. We're looking at it through that lens of our faith, through that sacramental worldview, if you will. Yeah.
Right. And the fact that it's such a shared thing, even for me now, when I go to Mass, I just feel like, gosh, we all share this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
We understand the Mass. We're a part of the community. The school is a part of this community. So it's, it doesn't stop once you get out of school. So
That's right. Well, I've never stopped learning since I got out of school. I'm still
that's
learning
for
in my
sure.
50s here. So,
That's for sure.
so Margaret, you're the director for marketing and communications
Right.
for the NCEA. Tell us a little bit about your role with the organization.
So I'm the director of marketing communications, as you said, and I also am the manager for public relations and publications. So in public relations, my real role is to try and proclaim the good news of Catholic education to anybody that will listen to us. So
Awesome.
there's a lot of writing involved. There's a lot of calling and talking with the media.
Yeah.
Even though we had a lot of attention during the pandemic, but for the most part, they only come to us when they really need something. But, so trying to just get out there and proclaim the good news is a challenge.
Yeah.
I work through all channels. We have somebody who handles social media for us, but we also work with print media and broadcast. And, part of my job is to make sure that the 150,000 or so members in Catholic education or members of the association are aware of all the professional development and events that we can offer and resources that we make available to them as best we can. And, as far as our messaging for current events, such as learning and teaching during this pandemic and civic responsibility, we tried to put out as much as we could about elections and the upcoming inauguration. So all of these things are part of what NCEA addresses, just to kind of give teachers more in their backpacks, is how we refer to it sometimes. For publications, I help solicit manuscripts from, experts in the field and people who have written for us before or who come to us and say, hey, I've got an idea about, teaching theology or fundraising or Catholic ethics or governance. And there's many more. There's been years when we've published, 20 to 25 books.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
Sure it is. Yeah.
That was a lot. And, but that's another portion of what we try to do so that our teachers have more resources, whether you're in the classroom or you're a leader or an administrator. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot that goes under other duties as assigned, but
yeah,
we don't have to go into all those. But it's interesting to me. I've seen different publications come through from NCEA, but I had no idea the sheer volume of information. Obviously you're connected with the movers and shakers, the best and the brightest in Catholic education, and I can only imagine how grateful you are to be the collaborator, if you will, or kind of the distiller of that information and get it out into the field so that everybody can benefit from the good things happening.
Yes.
Schools. Yeah. That's
exactly.
Incredible. Wonderful. Well, Margaret, we're coming up on the big event of the year, Catholic Schools Week. And, I've seen the materials come through many times from NCEA, and I took a look at your website, and this year is no different. You have lots of great downloads and great ideas. Tell us a little bit about the plans for this year's Catholic Schools Week.
Okay. So at, Catholic Schools Week is always the last Sunday in January till the following Saturday. So this year that's January 31st to February 6th. And every 3 years we change the logo and the theme just to so we wait 3 years so that when schools purchase products and materials for it, they don't have to do it every year. It's like if you buy it now, you can keep it for 3 years. And then we'll change it. So this year, the theme for Catholic Schools Week is Catholic Schools, Faith, Excellence, and Service. And schools typically observe the annual celebration with masses and open houses. They kind of use it as a tool to either boost enrollment or retain enrollment, or to just let the community see what great things are going on inside Catholic schools. So we also have, every day has a different theme during Catholic Schools Week, and we try to promote that and help them promote that. So, there's so it begins with that Sunday with celebrating your parish, and then Monday is celebrating your community, Tuesday celebrating your students, Wednesday celebrating the nation, Thursday is celebrating vocation, Friday is celebrating faculty, staff, and volunteers, and Saturday is celebrating families. And there's different things that can go on at the school, and they use these themes as ways to have, you wear crazy sock day, and it's also ways to promote good spirit. Obviously this year poses a real challenge for a lot of schools that don't want to have these open houses and have people in and out of the building. Some of them will still do that. But we tried to offer as many alternatives to that as we could, and we have that certainly on our website. So they can be alternatives to in-person activities, and trying to help schools figure out a way to still do all the things that they used to do. And we did discover several years ago that a lot of schools like the fall better. I just think it gives them more planning time for when they're talking about enrollment for the following school year. So we did a few years ago institute the Discover Catholic Schools Week, which is in November. I think it's the second week of November. It's very similar to Celebrate Catholic Schools Week, which is our January event. But
sure.
But this was to try and help out all those schools who say, look, we want to do something, but January just doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
And so we did start this Discover Catholic Schools Week to try and help everybody out in that respect.
I've talked to many schools over the years who celebrate Catholic Schools Week, but like you say, sometimes, like for those of us who live in the Northeast, it's not the most beautiful time of year to come in and invite somebody to your school for the first time. It may not leave the best or the impression that you want to leave. So oftentimes they do open houses in the spring or some kind of celebration in the spring, again, to as an enrollment, certainly an enrollment opportunity, and a fall registration, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. And, we encourage them. I mean, even though these dates are set, those are just dates. You can still use all of the information that we offer for Catholic Schools Week any time of the year. In fact, we, a couple of years ago, changed the name of the Catholic Schools Week kit to Catholic Schools Week and Year-Round Marketing Kit.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just to kind of say, this, just use it as a template, and you can do it anytime you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you get or do you receive feedback from the schools, or do you hear about what they're doing at the school level to kind of give you a sense of how it went, or maybe even ideas for the future years that you want to do?
Yes. We really try to encourage them to send us photos and videos, and put it on social media, put on their websites, all the different things that they do, so that we can gather that, and it gives us new ideas, and we can also share it with all the other schools when they're calling us and saying, I just need something new and different, or something out of the ordinary. So yes, we try really hard to publicize what everybody was doing.
That's great. That's great. Do you ever get involved with helping a diocese or a school? I'm sure maybe not at the individual school level, but input on their marketing initiatives during the year? I mean, given all your experience and the breadth of all you see nationwide.
Absolutely. Whenever anybody reaches out to us and has a specific question, or just in general is looking for something, we try very hard to help them out. And either give them our ideas or put them in touch with other schools that we know have done something similar, or and certainly at the diocesan level, a lot of times we'll get supers that'll call us and, and say, look, a couple of my schools are looking for, fundraising tips, or want to participate in Catholic Schools Week, but don't have a lot of money. So
right. You hear that a lot, I'm sure. I hear that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So we try to tailor things to individual schools' needs as best we can.
Sure. You can't ever do a one size fits all, especially where Catholic schools
No.
parishes are involved for that matter. Yeah.
That's right.
A friend of mine that I used to work with used to say, you've seen one school, you've seen one school. I mean, there's in many ways, no two schools are exactly identical.
That's right.
So from your perspective, again, from the national level, how have you seen schools adapting their marketing efforts during COVID-19?
That we have gotten a lot of calls about that. And they're like, how do we turn this into a virtual event? And so, our biggest suggestion is to use your students, have them make videos, have them talk about what they like about school and, what their Catholic education means to them. And also just incorporating the community, what are you doing in the community, and what does the community think about you as part of their community? So thank goodness for social media and websites and that kind of thing, because I think it really was able to pick up where schools had to leave off, so to speak. Yeah. With trying to reduce, the number of people coming in and out of the building and that kind of thing. But, Catholic schools overall, 80 to 85% of our Catholic schools are in person 5 days a week, which is amazing. Because I think that the national average for public schools, and I'm not like comparing us to them, although it sounds like it, I think they're at about 50%. So, when you think that Catholic schools with so little resources, for the most part, have been able to pull this off with all of the cleaning and wearing masks, and so many of the schools, they've got that plexiglass or some sort of plastic around the desks of the kids, and this is a lot of money.
It is, absolutely, and a lot of extra time, especially when you think about. Well, I always, I think of principals as being just some of the hardest working people in the whole, or the hardest working person in the whole building.
Absolutely.
And certainly close second there is each of the teachers who works tirelessly day and night in many cases. Yes. So you throw this pandemic on top of it, I'm sure there's been a lot of sleepless nights around the country to keep this thing going.
Yeah. For sure. And,
and yet it shows our resilience, right? It shows our commitment to Catholic education, a commitment to our faith, and such a positive statement that, we can survive this and we can come together. Many donors and so many teachers have come around the table to help make this happen. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, but you're exactly right. Where a lot of donors have stepped up. There were schools that I know were in danger of closing, and then lo and behold, the Catholic school community said, nope, we're going to figure it out. Unfortunately, a lot of them did close, and, many of them have said they were in trouble to begin with. And, unfortunately, the pandemic just kind of pushed them out the door. But the resilience of Catholic schools really is amazing.
Absolutely. So, Margaret, one of the other big events that you're known for during the year is your big NCEA conference. Tell us a little bit about what that's going to look like in 2020.
Yeah, so we are working feverishly to pull that together. So again, this year it will be virtual. It'll be a little different because last year I think we literally had like 4 weeks to turn what was an in-person event into a virtual event. And we actually surprised even ourselves. We were like, gosh, we actually did it. We pulled that off. So this year we have at least a little experience in it. So right now we're planning, there's going to be 12 distinct learning tracks that will be a part of the 3 days. So the dates are April 6th, 7th, and 8th. And we have 2 different kinds of registration. Individuals can register for $129.99. And yeah, we thought about that night. We're like, 99 cents, really? But we decided, okay. But then this year we added what we're calling a watch party, where an entire school can participate for those 3 days for $999. So, and we're calling that first day kind of a premier pre-conference day. So we're encouraging everybody to register by February 28th, and you'll get that April 6th day and access to all the sessions and speakers and everything for a 3-month period. So just, we're hoping that would be a good enticement to help people register early, so we know how many people we're working with. But the 12 tracks are early childhood education, social emotional learning, evangelization and student formation, theology and adult formation, inclusion with the mindset of diversity and equity, and also inclusion with the mindset of exceptional learners, STREAM, assessment literacy, virtual learning, which is, hopefully we won't need that much longer, but at least for now.
Right.
We also have a track called Programs Beyond Academics and Catholic School Leadership and Continuous School Improvement. So those last 3 or the last 2 actually are really meant, anybody can attend these sessions, but they're really geared toward leadership. So we are working hard within each track to have anywhere from 5 to maybe as many as 7 or even 10 individual sessions from, our in the field experts and people who have experience in some of these, some of our book authors are going to be presenters as well. So presenters are everybody from classroom teachers to the authors to Catholic school leaders to administrators to diocesan people, and some of our partners who, help. Some of our corporate partners also have products and that kind of. I shouldn't say products, but they may have curriculum or expertise in some of these areas, and we invite them to do a session as well. Not so many of them as much as, our regular in the field experts.
Right. Sounds like a great conference. Doesn't sound like you've backed off at all. That's exciting.
Not at all. I know when they first said, well, we could have as many as 120 sessions, and we were like, wow.
That's an ambitious committee you have there.
Right. And all of our people who are the most technically versed are like, wait, am I going to be recording all those sessions? So luckily we have last year's experience to build on.
Yeah. I think for a lot of us, like you say, we were building the airplane as we were flying it, and everything was, coming to a change. But going into 2021, knowing that it's a little uncertain when we'll all be face to face and together again, I'm sure a lot of folks are planning to do something very, very similar, and I'm sure it's going to be even better. That's great. That's exciting.
Yeah, we're very excited.
We all learned a lot of lessons from 2020.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. So, kind of wrapping up here, but Margaret, can you tell me about any new marketing initiatives or any new programs or anything that we should be on the watch for in 2021?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a lot more of continuing to do what we've been doing. We always have, a full scale list of new webinars that we work on. We continue to hold regional meetings with superintendents and principals and teachers. Kathy Mears, our interim president and CEO, continues to call on a regular basis superintendents and principals and just basically taking their temperature. How are things going? What are you thinking? How are things moving? We do have new books coming out. We don't have, in the 20s, but we've got, new books that are on our list, including like ethics and micro schools, micro credentialing, even virtual fundraising, which, even once this is over, is something that I think people will still want to know all about. And we continue to reach out to our schools and ask them, how can we help you promote your school or Catholic education in general? What can we do for you? So professional development will continue to be one of our big pushes, not only for Catholic school, leaders, but for classroom teachers. And, obviously right now we're looking toward convention, but still trying to incorporate all the things that we've been doing we still have a coaching and mentoring program where schools can work with Heather Gossert, who's just a fountain of institutional knowledge.
That's great.
On running Catholic schools.
Yeah.
So like I said, it may not be new things as much as we're just really deep diving into what we've always had on hand and available for our members.
Yeah. Well, we've had Kathy Mears on the program in the past, and it's so good to hear. I'm not surprised she's calling to see how all the superintendents are doing and the school leaders. She's such a kind and warm person. I'm sure she's been extremely supportive throughout this process.
She really has. And, like when I look at her calendar and I see, calling Victoria, Texas, calling Palm Beach, calling.
Busy person.
Yes.
So, it's Margaret. It's amazing. I just picking up on something you said earlier that, around fundraising, I think there are things that we have learned that, once you take the genie the genie comes out of the bottle, I don't think we're going to be able to put it back in. And maybe in some ways it has pushed us to do things a little faster than might have taken us many years to get there. I mean, I do think that we are going to find ourselves in a better place at the end, especially around technology and virtual learning and virtual events. And you see that as well from your perspective?
I do. And, I hear people talking more and more about, well, we may continue to do these things, but maybe it will be hybrid.
Right.
Maybe people will go to convention, but will also offer it as a virtual event. And not just that. I think some of the regional meetings that some of our dioceses are doing, it's if you want to come, or you can participate virtually. So I think you're right in that this has totally made us look at technology in a whole different way and all of the benefits that it can bring. And, we kind of promised ourselves that we were never going to use the word pivot again.
Oh, we say that all the time.
We used it so much.
Yeah. Pivot has been banned in 2021. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. But it is phenomenal to me how Catholic schools did pivot.
They did, yeah.
And did it so incredibly well. And like you said, it's kind of a testament to the resilience of Catholic education. But so some of this is not going to go away. And so, when we were approached by the author and he said, you may think it's not timely anymore, but I have developed this whole thing about fundraising in a virtual world. No, we definitely think that's something our schools are going to be interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I failed to mention earlier, but I feel compelled to now. I mean, certainly the the support of so many pastors who continue to support those schools in every way they can, bishops who have tried to support Catholic education in their diocese, of course, all us parents who sent their kids to Catholic schools and continue to adapt as we pivot back and forth to different situations. And then certainly not least of all the students, and just the amazing way in which they've been resilient, I think, through this whole process.
Yeah.
So, well, Margaret, it's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit this morning. I really appreciate you being on our podcast.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much. And best of luck with Catholic Schools Week and the upcoming conference. And if there's anything we can do to help you promote that, just let us know.
Okay, we will.
All right. And we'll leave links to Margaret and to NCEA and the conferences and Catholic School Week and everything in our show notes for this episode. Right. So thanks again for joining us on Advancing Our Church.
Right. Thank you.
God bless.
Take care, Jim.
I want to thank Margaret for being on our show this week. What a tremendous resource you are to the NCEA and to so many of our schools around the country. Thank you for all you do, Margaret, and thanks again to NCEA for the great partnership that we enjoy with you at Changing Our World. If you'd like to view the full video presentation of this podcast, please visit the show's episode page on advancingourchurch.com. Well, that's our show this week. Many thanks to the Changing Our World podcast team and to Podastery Studios for another great show. If you'd like more information about our show, please visit us at advancingourchurch.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Advancing Our Church is a production of Changing Our World, and we are a fundraising and social impact consulting firm that has been advising both nonprofits and corporations for over 21 years. For more information, please visit us at changingourworld.com. Well, that's it for me, everybody. I hope you have a terrific week. Take care, and God bless.